Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hedin, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in sunny Mesa, Arizona. It is like a balmy, 70 degrees today, let me tell you. There's no winter. My family and I, we got to spend some time at the zoo, little day off, because we're running a profitable business over here that's got systems and processes, and I want you to be able to do the same thing. Lose the day, not worry about it, be able to enjoy the time with the family. It's absolutely amazing. And that's why we do this show. We want to be able to talk about the business side of things, not the hand skill side of things. You want that? There's tons of certifications and trainings out there. You can go meet up with your manufacturers at your local supply houses. You'll get that training. I promise you, it's easy to find. That business side I didn't see being talked about. So I started this podcast and I'm interviewing business owners like yourself and my friends and other successful people in this industry, whether they're employees or they work on the distribution side, whatever it is. We are talking about the nitty gritty details that often get ignored. So I want to thank my sponsors. I want to thank the International Surface event. We just had a great time there in January, coming up again next January. And what would make a really big deal for me right now is if you're listening to this, if you were listening to the podcast, the live feed in the Facebook group or over on LinkedIn, watching the video on Facebook or on YouTube, if you're catching this somewhere, tell a friend for me. Call them up, tell them how much you enjoy this podcast and what it's done for your business, and let them know that they should be tuning in. That would be a game changer for me to help spread this mission out there and get more people listening. Help me out, all right? I absolutely, that's the best thing you could do to help me. Like it, subscribe to it, leave a review, tell a friend. Telling a friend is like the biggest thing you could do. That's enough of me pushing things and plugging. Let's move into it. Josh Hansman, welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining me. We're going to talk about what it takes to be a good employee, and you've been on both sides of this coin. So before we dive into that, who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
Well, my name is Josh Hansman, like you said. I'm from northern Kentucky. I live in the greater Cincinnati area. It's just easier to say Cincinnati because that's our closest city. I work for a company called Cincinnati Floor and Window Coverings. Really unique store. We do all types of floor coverings, carpet tile, linoleum vinyl, LVP, but we also do interior blinds and interior shutters. I don't know the connection, but we get to do them. So, like you said, I was also my own person at one time, was on my own. I guess I started, I'm coming up on 20 years doing floors. It's a long time to be doing the same thing.
It is.
But I started working for a company, probably I was in my 20s. Things didn't work there. We had to split ways. And I couldn't find another job doing flooring. So I said, I'm just going to do it on my own. And that lasted probably about 6 years. And I just got tired of chasing checks and getting paid once a month. Or so I wanted a check every week, basically is what it came down to. And I wanted less stress and less responsibility of having to run the whole show. And I settled at the company I'm at now and been there for 9 years now. And I'm a kind of do-it-all guy. My main focus is hardwood, pretty much sand and finish now because we got crews that do the install and then I'll come behind them. Our company also does, like I said, hard surface, LVP. So I get to do that sometimes, very rarely. But I assume all responsibilities for the company as far as warehouse, deliveries, customer care, going behind doing repairs, on top of doing jobs start to finish. It's a never ending thing.
Well, you're kind of you're one of the lead guys around there.
I am. I am the lead guy.
Okay.
There.
Well, I don't know how. I know there's more than just your crew, but
Yes.
I get that you're kind of a head honcho. We'll work into that. So
Yeah.
can we take this backwards a little bit? Did you say you were fired from the first company, or you left?
I said we split ways.
You see? Oh, well, let's dig into this. What does split ways really mean for a young Josh Hansman?
So, before I did hardwood, I was doing construction. I worked in a building doing office space, and we did all types of construction. And I did that job for 12 years because I started at a very young age doing that. And it was, my dad was the boss there. So they fired my dad, and I felt like I was devoted to family, had to quit that job. I got a friend to get me on, also named Josh, that got me on doing the hardwood company, or the hardwood job for a small company. And it was, I think there was only about 5 of us. And it was just your basic company. I mean, one guy learned how to do everything, and he taught everybody under him how to do it. So we all just did the exact same thing that we did year one for 5-6 years that I was there. And I just got fed up one day.
Okay. Okay.
We were always, everybody, usually the employees gather, and then they kind of sabotage the boss and talk behind his back and all that. And one day I just got fed up, and, I kind of spoke out of line and said some stuff I shouldn't have said. And that was it. It's time to move on after that.
I get it, man. I had a similar experience. I may have been using pictures of work I was completing and advertising my own company with them, and it was time to split ways. So I get it. It was amicable, I'll say.
I got redemption now. After we had our differences and we split, I think it was maybe 2 years later, the Josh that got me that job there ended up joining me, and me and him had a company together where we ran for about 5 years. And our old boss, who ended up firing both of us, hired us as subs to come work for him.
Okay.
And then even 10 years later, once I started working for this company, my old boss specifically called my boss looking for me to come do his house, his personal home, because he knew that I was the only one that he wanted there to do it. He had another company come first, and he's like, yeah, I need you to come do the rest of the house.
There you go.
So
that's true. That speaks volumes, man. That's exactly why we're digging into this with you right there. That's it.
Don't burn bridges, because, they might come back, and you might be able to cross them later. So it felt good. That's
exactly it, man. It's you got to leave on the right terms. Even my old boss and I have made up. We he's called me and asked me some questions. I've called and asked if I can get materials through him. We've worked some stuff out, and it's definitely we can work in the same space, right? Like, we can talk and communicate. I'm not going to necessarily invite him over for, a brew on Sunday, but we can talk and do business. So I think it's definitely like super big to make sure you leave on good terms, like not to burn that bridge. And sometimes, man, you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and I was as dumb as any of you that are 18, 19, 20 years old. And you may think you know everything right now, and you don't want to hear it from a nearly 40-year-old dude that you don't. Trust me, you're going to look back and be like, man, I was so not ready for the world. And we're going to help you get there. Josh is going to help us get there. Like, so you made some mistakes, and you've seen both sides of the coin. So I know you have some notes, and you brought this to me, and I really like this topic. So where do you want to kind of start? Like, was it Are you a better employee now because you operated your own business and decided, I don't want all this nonsense. I don't want to chase the check. I don't want to bid the job. I don't want to. Are you better because you know what it's like to do everything, or are you just better because you're older and wiser?
I mean, you learn stuff along the way, of course. I don't know if owning your own business, I think if I owned my own business now, it would be completely different because things I didn't know then that I do know now would change a lot. And one of the main things is my first note that I have is that this podcast about being a good employee, I don't want somebody that is like, I don't have to listen to this podcast because I'm an employer, I'm the boss, to think that this doesn't apply to them. And that's probably the mindset I had when I was my own boss. Even though you're your own boss, you're still an employee of that company. You just have a position in that company like everybody else does, that you're still employed by the company. So that's one of the big things is you can't think you're above anybody. And the whole idea also, which I missed out on the point when I had my own company, is that what it takes to be a good employee, like the number one thing. And it doesn't matter what you think your job is in the company. You have one goal, and that is to make money for the company.
That's a great point. And I think that's where a lot of people miss they completely miss, right? Like you're throwing a dart and you miss the board completely, is they don't think of themselves as an employee of the company. Even if they're receiving, you can file to be a, LLC filing as an S corp. Like we can dig into all these different business things. At the end of the day, if you're collecting money from your company, you're an employee of your company, and the company is above you. The company comes first. If you don't put the company first, there's not going to be a company to report to tomorrow. So the company comes first, and then you're the employee. So you have to make decisions, like you said, right? You're making decisions to make sure that the company is making money and able to move forward. And so
Correct.
yes, you are an employee of your company. Even if you are the owner of the company, you're an employee of the company. You are not the company. You're an employee of the company. You have to change your mindset. You will not be able to advance your company if you cannot change your mindset. I promise you that.
That's key there. And like I said, the number one job is to make money for the company. And I think a lot of employees that come on board, they don't think like that. They think that their number one job is to put in 40 hours and collect a check. And I mean, if that's what you want, then your job's kind of in jeopardy from the start. Because if you don't have some kind of value to that company, then what's the incentive for the company to keep you? So, everybody also wants more money as an employee, and that's the number one way to get more money is to increase your worth, and you increase your worth by increasing the value that you are to that company. So I put together a couple notes that I think are ways to help increase your worth as an employee. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think one of the best things I ever heard was I was talking with my buddy Trask Bergerson, who owns a company up in Astoria, Oregon, and a guy came in and asked him for a raise. But he started presenting different things to Trask, and he was like, excuse me, if I've learned this skill and I'm able to do such and such per week for, Bergerson Tile and Stone, what do you think that's worth to you? Probably, maybe $1 an hour. So I'd like a 50-cent per hour raise. And I've learned this. And he starts like listing off all this value he brings to the company, exactly what you're talking about. You want a raise? If I would have known, like if you at 18, 19, 20 years old, instead of coming and saying, I want to make $25 an hour, man, I ain't going to pay you $25 an hour. Because what are you doing to earn the $25 an hour? Come and tell me what you bring to the table to be worth the $25 an hour, the $30 an hour, $35 an hour. That money's there. Show me how you earn it. Tell me.
So that's what I did when I was working with the other Josh together and we decided to split ways. The company I'm with now, we subbed from them already, and they were half of our income subbing just from them. So I'm like, let's just make them all my income. But I can't go to work for them unless I make this much money. How can I get this much money? So I broke down the last 4 jobs we did, and I broke down the material cost, the driving cost, and then like took him all the numbers. So when we sat down, he's like, so, let's discuss what your wage, how much you want to make. I pulled out numbers, and I had numbers to show him. I said, this is the breakdown of what I was making doing it on my own. We should be able to be somewhere around this number. And he was like, this is exactly what I was hoping I'd get to see. He said, we're really close, and, we got a couple things worked out, and, he added on some things that I didn't think about, as like van and tools and luxuries like that. So, yeah, I mean, it was awesome. So that's what you got to do. You can't just go and ask for a raise. You have to say why you're worth it. You back it up.
I agree. And you as an employee, you may not know what the owner of the company is outbidding things at, right? You may not know the square foot rates, but you can track what you get done in a day. You can look at how much carpet you're able to tear out, how much wood you're able to install, how much LVP you can get down, how much baseboard you can get up and caulk, right? Just like a business owner, if you truly care about being an employee and you want to be productive and appreciated, track what you're doing. The owner should be doing it already. They should already kind of have an idea, but that's for them. So you do it.
One of the biggest things you can do is show it too. We had one guy that worked for us. He was a sub, and we were looking to hire on more guys, and he was a possibility that we could take to hire on. Like the sub he was working with was willing to let him come to us. But what drew attention to him is, as a sub, one day in the warehouse while they were loading carpet, the boss man walks out there and sees him pushing a broom. And it's like, this guy is a sub. He's here just to load up carpet, but he's sweeping the warehouse.
Wow.
Like, why are you sweeping the warehouse? This ain't, this has nothing to do with you. And he's like, well, I just thought it was dirty, so I swept it. That was all it took for my boss to be like, we need to hire this guy because of that little bit of initiative of picking up a broom. So one of the biggest things you can do is just show it, stay busy, stay productive. I heard a couple weeks ago, you're talking to Mark and you threw out tire kickers. I heard he mention that. And I love that term. Don't be a tire kicker, especially when the boss is around. So that's probably key right there. Show it.
That's amazing. Like, that's not his warehouse. It's not his showroom. It's not his responsibility. There's somebody at your company that's required to pick up the broom and keep that area clean. And he's just like, well, I'm here and I'm bored, so I might as well do it. And that's exactly who I'm looking for, right? Everybody's complaining about not being able to find employees.
Right.
That's the guy I'm looking for. When I go and I'm at the fast food restaurant, when I'm walking around the big box store, when I'm picking up trim from the trim store, I'm watching the employees. I'm waiting to see the person that I see, staying busy. And dude, I'm not going to go down the street directly to my competitor and like try and poach somebody, but I will gladly find somebody that's like a server at a restaurant that I like, or from a big box store, the trim store, something that's like kind of related, or like at least they show up, they're there, they're working hard, they're staying busy. The person I want is the one that puts in the extra initiative. And how do you not want that employee, right? They've already shown that, like, hey, I'm going to stay busy and I'm going to bring value to you. That you can teach the hand skills. You can't teach that kind of work ethic. Go grab that person and give them a skill that no one can take away from them. I think that's what's missed a lot of times by employees in this industry and other trades is that we may not always pay the best, and we can probably, a lot of employers could probably pay better. Okay. I'm going to throw that out there. I'll throw this industry on their bus. A lot of employers could probably pay better if they learned how to run their business better. However, that being said, you used to, like, we could go back a couple 100 years and your dad would have to trade a cow to the like weaponsmith so that you could learn the trade, right? Like you had to pay to learn. It wasn't you got paid to learn this skill that no one can take away from you. So I think we need to do a better job of selling what we're teaching and let these employees know that I'm giving you this skill that no one can take from you. And that if you can get that communicated, I think that'll help them be better, because you're then letting them know that you're giving them more than the monetary value. There's something on the back end. However, once again, we go back to being 18, 20 years old. I didn't want to hear that. But we need to find a way to make that clear.
So, a major key to add value to yourself, without a doubt, probably number one is communication all the way around. Okay. You know, every now and then you hear something, a number that sticks in your mind and you never forget it. So I'm throwing out a percentage that I remember from high school. This is 25 plus years ago. I still remember this percentage. I had to look it up before I came on here just to make sure that percentage didn't change in the last 25 years. 93% of all communication is nonverbal. 93%. So that means your words only matter 7% of the time.
Wow.
So it breaks down. 55% is body language, 38% is your tone, 7% is words. So with that 93% of nonverbal communication, you have to keep that in mind all the time. This comes down to your appearance, like how you dressed up. So I know not all companies have a uniform, but you still show up looking like a professional. You wear something that actually says, hey, look at me, I'm a professional. I know everybody has lettered Vans, so like the way you drive, avoid road rage.
Yes.
I mean, that says a lot, and you know. But I think a big one that a lot of people always forget or are kind of embarrassed by or don't want to do is just, if you're not on time, make a phone call. You're running late. So this is a big part. The phone call is that 93% of nonverbal. Your excuse, like whatever, you can come up with whatever excuse you want. That's only 7%. You don't even need an excuse. You can just say, hey, I'm late. The fact that you called is more important than whatever you come up with. So like the way I'm thinking, you call 100 different customers, tell them you're running late. Only 7 out of 100 people are going to care why you're late. The other 93 people are going to be like, thank you for calling. Like they don't even care. So
correct.
I know some people won't make a call because they feel embarrassed because of their excuse. Don't give an excuse. Just say, hey, I'm running late. I'm going to be here at this time. That's all you need.
Yep. Well, that's exactly it, right? The excuse isn't needed because I don't want to hear your excuse. I want to see you be an adult. Own your problem. Okay? So this isn't just an employee thing. This is an owner thing. When you're talking about communicating with clients, whether it's as an employee, I'm your boss, you're my client, or I'm the owner and you're going to see the person on the job, that's the client. Dude, I don't care if I'm going to be a minute late. I'm texting that person and I'm telling them, hey, there's some traffic. I'm running a couple minutes late, right? I don't care if I'm supposed to be there at 7 and the GPS now says 7:01. I'm running a couple minutes late. Maybe it makes it up and I arrive at 6:59. They say, you're not late. Hey, sorry. It told me I was going to be late. I'd rather over communicate than not communicate at all. As for the actually giving an excuse, dude, don't tell me, you got in a fight with your girlfriend, the car wouldn't start. Hey man, I don't care what it is. When are you going to be here? Just let me know you're on your way, because the thing that pisses me off most as from having employees is, hey man, I'm running late. Okay. Are you going to be here at 8, 9, 10, right? Or it's, and then there's no follow up. Like, I've been told, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Well, you're not here in 20 minutes. What happened? Like, why are you now an hour and a half late? Communication. That's right back to the beginning where you started this. Communication is key. Just communicate and own that you made a mistake. I'm not going to be as upset if you let me know what's going on. That's all. I just want to know. If you're not going to make it, just tell me, dude, my oil pan got a hole in it. It took hours to find out that this kid put a hole in his oil pan driving to work. Just tell me.
You don't care.
No, just let me know you're not coming, dude. I don't care, because you're either going to be there or you're not. Don't string me along. Just be like, hey man, I got a hole in my oil pan. I'm not going to be there today. Well, great. Now at least I know I better hustle, and I'm putting in a 14-hour day. That's all I needed to know. I didn't need to know why. Just, I'm 2 hours late. I'm not making it anymore. Please communicate.
So another one that's, there are a few specific things that can fall into that 7% for the actual words that count.
Okay.
One of those is names. Take time, learn people's names. And I know a lot of people, I hear it all the time. Oh, I'm not good at remembering names. No, you don't want to take the time to learn somebody's name, and you're just using the excuse, I'm not good at it. Learn how to be good at it. It makes a huge difference. Quick story.
Okay, go ahead.
We had a newer guy that worked with us he was with us for about 3 months. And in that 3 months time, he's got to meet all of our contractors, high-end contractors, custom home builders. He's met them all. And then one day we show up to one of our contractors. We were there for 2 or 3 days on this job. And, this guy's not ready for us. When we're there, we had to change a couple things. It was just a little tiny kitchen, not a very fun job to do. But we walk up and the guy's like, oh, hey, Josh, how you doing? I'm like, I'm fine. He goes, hey, Tristan, how you doing? To the other guy. Oh, I'm good. We get through the whole day. We get in the van. He's like, I really like that guy. He's like, I like that contractor. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, you've met all these other guys that big fancy jobs and doing cool things. And so I sat there and I thought about it forever. Like, why would he say he liked that guy over every other contractor that he's ever met? Because he never said anything about any of the other ones. And it was just the fact that dude remembered his name. That's all it takes.
Correct. I'll be 100% honest. What I should do, Josh, see, I'm going to do it right now, is even during these podcasts, I don't use my guest name a lot. We just keep going and going and going. But if I were to address you with your name, I would make you feel a lot better during the podcast, would I not, Josh?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to drive it into the ground and make it be worthless. No, but it's the same thing. I'll admit I'm bad with names, because generally for the longest time it didn't matter to me. And so I will have my notebook ready. I go and I meet the client and I know the one person's name, but if there's a couple, usually I don't get both people's names when I first get info. And so they're like, I'm waiting for it. I'm inside the door and Steve is standing there and he's like, this is my wife, Jeanette. And I'm like, bam, pen's out, writing it down so I don't forget it. And then if we can work that in while we're doing it, you want to use names. It makes people feel good. You build a better rapport with them when you use their names. And so that's absolutely huge to have that stuff and write it down and remember it. And it's the little details in all of it. It doesn't matter if it's a name or the dog's name. I had a client just recently reach out, and they're this cute couple, and they have a little corgi, and they were like, you probably don't remember us. It was this small job. You did it. We're finally ready for you to do the thing you bid 2 years ago. I was like, no, I remember you. I was like, I love you guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. I love your dog. and Janice, and I know exactly what you're talking about. When I walk in your house, the carpeted room is on the right, and then we're talking about your upstairs that has the double doors. We'll have to put a T-molding there, and we're doing your closet that's inside the bathroom and the only other carpeted area left. And they're like, how do you know all that? Notes. That, and I have a really weird memory, but like being able to carry that conversation on with them, it makes them, this is the third project I'm doing for them. They feel special.
Do you write down pets' names?
That one I remember. I didn't remember the dog's name until I went back and bit it again. I will be honest. I remembered it was this fat, cute little corgi though. So
see, I never write down anything past, the couple's names, but I was wondering, how far do you go with that? Do you write down pets' names? Do you write down children's names?
I would. Yeah, I would. If I was actually like, I should run a CRM at this point, a customer resource manager. I'd put all that stuff in there. If they gave me their kid's birthday, man, right, I'd be writing that down and like, I'll send an email out like, happy birthday to little Timmy. Why not? So, you want to make them feel special, make them feel special. That's going to go above and beyond.
The only reason I ask that is because I know I've recently come across a homeowner where I've gone back and they've asked me about my daughter in college. And it's like, dude, like, you remember my daughter. Like, you remember that conversation. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I imagine it's cool on both sides,
Well, that's where that rapport comes in, right? You want to build lifelong relationships with people. This is what I want from my employees. Because when I step away, right, if I get off the floor, I need my employees to go and build those same relationships I'm building with my clients. I don't care about, dude, anyone can be taught to put the floor in. If we want to talk about what's going to make a good employee, what's going to make a good employee for me is someone that can go build the same relationships that I'm building, because they can buy a floor anywhere and they can get a good install anywhere. You're like obligated the minute you're hired to provide some professionalism in flooring installation. That's why you were hired. That's your job. Just do that. It's the little stupid stuff. It's the fact that you keep my house clean. It's the fact that you know who I am. It's that you respect that, that I have to take my kids to school at 7:15. I'm not going to be home until 7:45. And so even though I like to start at 7, I know with this client, we're going to schedule for an 8 a.m. start so that they're back home and comfortable, right? Like, remembering little details and stupid things and just having an open relationship and building that's what's going to make you a good employee to me, is going the extra mile and actually acting like you're the owner of the company.
So another good thing about that personal connection with the homeowner is, I don't know if it's not cheating, but sometimes you can take their attention away from the work you're doing. If you don't have that personal connection with them, the only thing you have to talk about is the project. So every time they come into the room, they're going to be looking at things you're doing, asking about this, that, like, why are you doing it that way? That doesn't look as good. Wouldn't you rather them come in the room and be like something more personal to talk about and like just let you do your job? So I kind of look at it, the more personal connections you can get with the homeowner, the more you're kind of pushing what you're doing aside and not letting them worry about you as much.
Yes. Well, and it's so easy. You're in their home. Their life is on display. This goes way, way, way back. If you go listen to, I want to say like episode 6, maybe, like literally episode 6. Whatever episode it is, it's with Rachel Berlin, and we're talking about going into a customer's home. Their life is on display the minute you walk in there. Their pictures are up. They've got books. They've got music out. Like, you can, maybe not these days, you can see their CD collection or like record collection or whatever, but right, like, their life is on display in their house. People want to talk about themselves, not you. So they're giving you everything to talk about, right? There might be a baseball that's up. Josh has guitars in the background at his house. Those aren't his. Those are his daughter's. So we probably can't talk about guitars with him. But if his daughter was here, you can bet I'd be asking her about guitars and why she has those different guitars and what she likes about them, right? Like, she's going to go on and on for 15 minutes about those guitars. So look for the little signs. It's not hard to get them to talk. If you want them to stop talking about the project, let them. Dude, they've given you a million things to talk about. Look around you. I'm going to interrupt us for 1 second. The International Surface Event, the annual flooring, stone, and tile sourcing experience in Las Vegas, has a unique experience for the industry. Introducing the Surfaces Show Home, Caliboo Vineyard by Jennifer Farrell. Surfaces is working with celebrity design and TV host Jennifer Farrell to develop a 7,300 square foot show home in California. The home is under construction, but due to the technology from Visualizer Plus, the industry can experience virtual room reveals each month. Then plan to view Caliboo Vineyard in person or virtually summer 2022 during the home tours. Visit www.caliboovineyard.com now to sign up and join the journey. All right. Love Surfaces. Awesome experience. Go check it out. I caught part of Jennifer Farrell's talk about the home while I was waiting to go and give one of my talks at Surfaces. Sounds super awesome what she's doing over there. She's getting to play with lots of really cool things. And you can, the Visualizer Plus stuff, man, I've sold a ton of jobs being able to use that technology where you can like overlay the flooring into a room. People are sold before you even show up. It's awesome. So I'm sure it's a really cool thing to over there going on the website. All right. So back to employees and hanging out with homeowners, and like, look, don't get annoyed when they're over. Like, I remember being an employee and even kind of as the owner operator, like I get how it's annoying that people look over your shoulder. You're there to do a job. They're just curious. They don't see flooring installation every day. As long as you're doing it right, what do you care? What are you getting worked up about? Yeah, it's kind of annoying. I get it. But like at the end of the day, what are you getting worked up over? They're curious because they don't know. Tell them what's going on. Let them hit a board in. I've had like 50-year-old women. They're watching me and I'm like, you want to put a board in? Yeah. Okay. And they're getting down on their hands and knees and they're like putting Planck's LVP in for me. It's amazing. What do I care? Like, let them have fun doing their floor, right? I got a 2-year-old watching me. Hey, little buddy, come here. You want to hit this mallet real quick? Bang, bang, bang. Man, when his dad comes home later in the day, though, and he's like, Dad, 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 Dad. And he's running over and he's pointing out what board he put in because I put a piece of blue tape on it with his name on it. That kid's excited as all get out. Like, make it fun. Make it worth your while to like have them look at you. It's not like they see it every day, right? You could go to their job and look over their shoulder and be like, what are you doing? How's that work? You're going to do the same thing because you don't know about it. Stop. Unless you're cutting corners and doing dirty stuff, you have no reason to care that they're watching over your shoulder. They're paying you. They own you. They own you right now. Deal with it. So, right. What do you got for me, buddy? Where are we going now?
What if we skip over to the opposite side of the customer you're talking about?
Okay.
I'm talking about the other customer.
Okay.
There's a lot of different terms to call them. But, you know,
the PETA.
I've never come up. Huh?
The PETA.
Yes. But I've never come up with one that, like, I'm happy with, that I can say is about this one. Concerned is the closest that I can get, the concerned customer. Mm-hmm. So it comes back to, again, with the communication, 7% words. There are certain words that you cannot change. You can't manipulate them. Once that word comes out, they hear it, you're stuck. Yep. PETA's probably one of them. Crazy nut job, you know. A customer hears you say that about them, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
That's going to get a lot harder. So you got to try to learn how to avoid those kind of words for customers. And in the workplace, this comes on all sides. I think it's really important to avoid them because maybe there's somebody in your company that hasn't gone to that job yet, hasn't met that person, and you're already implying your impression on them. So they're going to walk in thinking the absolute worst from the very beginning. And that person maybe had a bad day when you were around. and it's different for them. So you got to try to figure out a way to describe these customers without implanting certain impressions in people.
Well, yes, if we're going to be in the house, right, we have to have that professional. We need to act as professionals within the home. We should not be talking poorly about a client within their own house, especially these days, man. 1950s, no. Fine, dude. Like, go ahead. If you know the client's not in the house, you can say whatever you want. These days, man, I don't want to utter a word because I don't know if I'm on video. I don't know if there's audio around. I just assume I am being recorded at all times in somebody's house now, and I'm not going to say a darn thing. I'm just going to go. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to put my earbuds in, and I'm going to get my work done. So I think that goes a really long way. I think that brings a ton of professionalism to the table to be able to go and work with these clients that may be a little more difficult and keep a straight face. Now, what I will say is what I've realized is my most difficult clients are the ones that I had bad communication with. And it's not to say that I haven't turned down some projects where like it probably would have gone horribly just because of personality. But for the most part, it's always been poor communication that has led to the biggest issues I've had dealing with clients. And it's because I said something and they misinterpreted it, or they thought based on something I said, it was going to go a different way. Or I didn't communicate something and then they were like wondering what happened. So once again, going back to this communication thing, one of the biggest skills you can have is that soft skill. Once again, it's not about hand skills. Hand skills can be learned by anybody. You want to be a valuable employee. These soft skills are going to go way, way further than anything else you can do. If you, man, as a good employee, you want to know what would go a really long way? Start asking for reviews. Get them to mention you in a review, right? Don't have them say that, Billy Bob's Custom Carpets is the best thing in town. It's, I had Josh from Billy Bob's Custom Carpets out and he did a bang up job. You get them to start name dropping you in reviews and people will start requesting you for jobs. What is the value of that to the owner?
They already request me, Kyle.
I get it, but yeah, I'm not. This isn't about other people. This isn't about you, Josh.
So I've kind of taken those customers and used them to my advantage. I remember every single one of them. You never forget them. I go into every single house and I treat every single customer as if I'm going back to that customer again.
Okay.
And in that manner, every customer gets treated the exact same way. And I try to hold on to that throughout the entire job because sometimes you have these customers day one, they got some kind of a costume on or they're wearing a mask and like, you're like, oh dude, these people are going to be awesome. This is going to be cakewalk. And then all of a sudden you kind of get relaxed. And then the next day you're walking through the gates of hell and it just comes out of nowhere and you get blindsided. So you got to put that guard up, keep it up the entire job, start to finish, and just assume the worst. Another thing I like to do is try to see the problem before it comes and try to, if it's an unavoidable situation where, this is a problem, I have to address it, call the homeowner in and tell them, hey, look, I see this right now. I just want to let you know about this. And this is something we have to address. I just want to let you know up front. It says a lot. It says that right off the bat that you're not trying to hide nothing from them. So they kind of, usually it's weird. When you tell a homeowner that there's a problem that they didn't notice, a lot of times they thank you.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm adding work to this job, but you're thanking me. And it's not a bad thing. So
no, honesty goes a long way. I think that's been one of my success points is going to people and just, if something's happening, hey, I noticed there's some, a lot of people don't like the M word. And you're going to be like, wait, what's the M word? Well, man, you're in somebody's house working and you point out mold. Oh man, they hate you. They hate you. But Go point it out.
No.
Tell them, look, hey, there's a problem over here. Something happened. You should deal with this, right? Well, you need to figure out what you want to do with this, but this exists over here. Let them know.
So Kyle, my line for that is I am not an expert in identifying mold. I can't tell you if it is or is not.
Correct.
It is definitely a black spot on the floor. That's all that I can tell you. That's what it is.
It's you got to go deal with it yourself, right? Like, but it's
right.
Subterranean termites are a big problem in Arizona, right? So I deal with termites, right? There are plenty of guys that would not mention termite issues and just put the baseboards back up, or like they're not going to say a word. Whether they're active or inactive, they're not going to let people know. The little details that you can communicate out to a client make a difference. Let them know, man. It might delay the job. Look, man, it's not it's not for you to worry about if the job is delayed or not. That's your boss's job. He's going to make the call and try and move something up and take care of you, right?
Hey,
let him worry about it. You worry about the client, because that's your responsibility right now.
If that damage comes through after you're done, and then you have to go back and do even more work on top of what you didn't do, that is your responsibility, though.
Correct. And
you will hear about that from the homeowner.
Yeah, you'll get that too. Because now, what if the termites start eating all your nice sanded wood floors? And if they can prove that they were there when you were doing the work, ooh, buddy, you in some trouble. Yes. So, honesty goes a long way. Just communicate with people. Just let them know what you're seeing, what's going on, and I think that's going to help you really bring
and don't forget,
value.
Communication is a two-way street. You talk, but you also have to listen. A lot of times, if you listen to the homeowner, they'll tell you exactly what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. We have so many homeowners that it's almost like they don't care about what the job looks like when they're done. I get more compliments on how clean the job is at the end of the job after sanding a floor, how little dust there was, more than I do on how good the floors look. Maybe I don't do good looking floors, but I doubt that. I don't know. It amazes me that there are people that care more about, having to clean dust for a couple of days than having a floor for 10 years.
Yeah, no, it's the little things. It really is. People want you to respect their home because that's where they live. And so, putting up the plastic might take a couple extra minutes. Do it. Hooking up the vacuum to the dust port on a grinder, do it.
Oh yeah.
Right? Take the little steps, use the tools you have to be able to do a nice job. I understand you might be getting paid $20-25 an hour and you're hating life right now and you're miserable, but there's ways to change that. It doesn't have to suck. You can make it enjoyable, because I still enjoy going and doing what I do. And there's ways to make it valuable to you as well as the owner of the company and to the client. And if you don't have the tools you want, go tell the owner of your company what you want. Explain to him the value of the tool, right? If he has to sell on value to a client to get them to do a job, if you want a $3,000 vacuum, tell him why this $3,000 vacuum is going to change his life and what it's going to do for his clients. If an employee came to me asking for a tool, dude, I'm 100% down. What's it going to cost me? What am I going to get out of it? How's it going to help us? And how much faster can you get it done, right? Where's the value in it for me? If you can tell me I can pay that tool off in 2 months, sold, done, right? If I'm profitable on that tool because it's $3,000 in 2 months, good deal. I'm 100% on board with it. And so you have to stop. I don't know. I think people need to take more ownership as an employee. That's my take on this, is I want an employee, what would make a good employee for me is someone that's going to come in and take a lot of ownership and almost consider themselves the owner of the company in my stead. They will put that much effort in. I don't expect them to go do the job. I don't expect them to have stuff coming out of their paycheck and whatnot, right? They don't have to pay for mistakes, but I want them to value I want them to value their position within my company that much, that they'll go that extra mile to step up and kind of own some responsibility. That would make a huge difference.
So you did touch on one of the things I wanted to bring up too. Doing a job that sucks, and you know that job sucks and you don't like doing it. Mm-hmm. So that's actually one of the notes that I had, was to learn to like what you hate. Let's say that you hate prepping subfloors. You go find another job. I mean, the subfloor is basically the foundation of everything you start with. If you hate doing that, you're not going to do it right. And you're going to be you're setting yourself up for failure right from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So you have to learn to like it. I like scraping corners. I did not like it.
You're a weirdo.
I didn't always like it. But you do it so much, and like you just get to the point where like you're not going to get away from it. If you just hate it all the time, you're going to be miserable. So I believe that like just being positive at work and not being miserable, not being contagious, it really sets you apart from a lot of other employees sometimes.
I agree. There's my buddy Kristen Blanchard would tell you to embrace the suck. That's what he's going to tell you as a Marine guy. Embrace the suck. And I think there's a lot of that, right? We get caught up in negative attitudes. I'm pessimistic by nature, and it's really not a good way to be, because I'm looking for like, dude, the glass is half full on everything to me, and it just makes life miserable. And I've worked really hard the past couple of years to start finding the positive things, like you, right? Like scraping corners really, like it kind of sucks. But if you can find some way to enjoy it, right? Okay, I got to pop in my headphones and I'm going to go around this house and I'm just going to scrape these things real quick. I'll be done in, 45 minutes because there's a lot of them. We're going to move on. We're going to get to that next step. Like just find some way to enjoy it and look at it, to have a good time. That you may not enjoy everything you do, but the overall job or project you can enjoy. So find a way to get through that little part that you dislike. I'm 100% with Josh. You have to.
That negativity is contagious.
Yes.
I want to avoid that. And also to the point of other trades, don't ever walk into a job and immediately badmouth other trades, because all you're doing is setting the tone for whoever else is there to come back and be negative towards something you did, whether it's right or wrong. You're setting that tone. I know electricians get a lot of feedback for not cleaning up after themselves.
What? They don't sweep up? I've never heard that in my life. Come on.
Right? But I go to the job. I try to be friendly with the other trades and talk to them and just, be social and not just be like, why are they here? This is my day to be here. You walk in and be like, hey, I know it sucks. We got to work together through this because it's on a tight schedule. If I'm in your way, let me know. If you get in my way, I'm going to let you know, and we'll get along.
Yep.
It's not that hard to do.
No.
So
communication. Funny. It went back to that.
It went back to that. And that negativity is contagious. You walk in there grumpy, they're going to be grumpy. You walk in there in a good mood, maybe tell them a joke, they might come back at you with a joke. Mm-hmm. Positivity is the same way. It's contagious too. So if you got a choice of which kind of environment you're going to be in, set the tone and pick which one you want to be in and force the room to be in that environment.
Definitely. I mean, I've heard stories, man. I'll tell you what. My late grandmother was one of the crankiest, bitter people I ever knew. Nothing was ever good enough for her. And she was miserable to be around. Like literally, we stopped seeing her for a while. Like she was telling my kids, who were probably like 6 and 8 at the time, how much she just couldn't wait to die at like 96 years old, right? Like she's like, we're visiting her and she's talking about how she can't wait to die because she's just so miserable. But nothing was ever good enough for her. The food was never good enough. The service was never good enough. Us visiting was never good enough. Everything was a complaint. But that was her mindset for 70 plus years guaranteed. Everything was bad, 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 bad. How do you change it at that point, right? Like how much you have to go so hard against the grain to change that mindset.
Yeah.
And so Josh is right. Like if you take that positive mindset and you build it in and you go to work every day and you're cheery and you're looking at the corners you have to scrape and you're just like, all right, I'm going to get her done. Like this is going to be good. Like if you can keep that positive attitude, it goes a long way and it starts rubbing off on other people around you. And I'd much rather be around the positive people than the people that are miserable. You get sucked into it, you know, you look at the different groups online where a lot of these, you know, ideas and chats originate from. And you got these guys and, well, I hate subcontracting and I'm miserable installing flooring and it sucks and I just do it and I'm going to do it until the day I die because I can't ever make no money. Man, you can be happy in this business. You can make money in this business. You can enjoy this business and you don't have to subcontract if you don't want to. You got options. But the fact that you hang around at the back of the shop subcontracting and you're talking to the 4 other dudes that are absolutely as miserable as you are after 20 years every day in the morning, and you all sit there and whine and moan about how much your life sucks, that's why your life sucks. Because you're not doing anything to change it. I was very fortunate, and I'm not going to lie, I was very fortunate that when I put myself into this industry, the people that I ran into had a much better mindset than I naturally had. And it has rubbed off on me, and it has moved me in the right direction within this industry. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing this. Because I want to give back for all that I've received. There's no question in my mind. Like I could not do this. I have to do this. I owe it to the industry to do this because of everything it's given me and my family, whether they realize it or not. My kids understand that I do flooring. They don't understand that everything they get is paid for from this industry. And I am very thankful, and I have a ton of gratitude. And it still blows my mind that people want to come on here and talk to me every week. I'm not going to lie. I won't. It blows my mind that this thing has been going on almost. We're 2.5 years in almost now. So
awesome.
But it's a blast, and it's because we're out here spreading positivity and trying to make a difference, and that's going to go a lot further. You guys wouldn't have listened more than 2 weeks if I was over here complaining and moaning and no one's ever going to pay us better. No, let's talk about how we can get paid better, right? Let's talk about how we can find better employees and what makes a good employee. Let's have the discussions that are going to be positive and move us forward. This is what matters. This is how we make a dent in this industry that everyone wants to say is dying and doesn't pay well. This industry pays great. It's not dying. Your attitude about the next generation is why we don't have anybody coming into this industry. It's you. It's you. Take responsibility. You want people coming into this industry? Be like my buddy John Steyer in Algonia, Iowa. All right? He went to his local high school. He found the shop teacher and he said, "Can I come in and teach some kids about carpet? Can I teach your kids about carpet?" Shop teacher said, "Sure can." They worked it out with the principal, the school district, all that fun stuff. He came in, he taught them about carpet. He had 2 of those kids ask him if they could work for him over summer. Not full-time, not even part-time. Maybe they show up a couple hours in the afternoon. He doesn't care. As long as they'll drive themselves to the job site, if they only want to work like limited hours, he'll take them and he'll let them learn. Okay? He went and he made a difference in this industry to show it to young people and get them involved. What are you doing besides complaining? Stop being a negative Nancy, right? You want to be a good employee? Stop being negative all the time. Go get some skills. Make a difference. Come on now. All right, I'm off. Sorry, I'm gonna get off.
to get it out. You feel bad?
I do. I really do. But this is what matters. Like, stop. It's man. All right. What else you got for me, buddy? I'm sorry. I will get off my soapbox.
I got a big one that really can increase your value as a good employee. Huge. Dealing with callbacks.
Okay.
Everybody gets them, but there's
I
a
hope so.
certain,
We're
yeah.
human.
Oh,
Don't tell me
yes.
you never got one. Don't be that guy. We won't go down that
Oh,
soapbox. I never get
yeah,
them.
we ain't going there. So one thing that I've learned from some of the schools that I've been to, you never address it as a problem. It's never a problem. If the customer says, I've been in this situation that they've called and they said, "Hey, we need you to come look at this. We have a problem." And you're like, "No, you don't have a problem. What you have is a concern. What? Let me get there, assess the situation, and I will identify it as a problem if it's a problem." But
No, I
right
like
now,
that.
it's just a concern.
I like that.
Like they might be seeing something that it could be wax stripped on the floor, and you can just go there and scrape it right off, and it comes right up. That's not a problem, but to them, they're looking at it as a problem, and don't agree with them that it's a problem. It's a concern. So we get callbacks. I've recently got yelled at, cussed out really harsh. It was bad, but you got to learn to be patient. And I really feel like that when people have something that they see as a real big problem, they know you're coming. They get this speech put up in their mind. They got everything ready. So anything you say, they have something to fire back at you, and it's all ready. Like they got this long list back of their head ready to go. So if you go in there and if you're quiet and you just let them get through their speech all the way to the end of the paper to where they run out of things to say, then you can come back. But if you try to cut them off before they get to the end of that paper, they got everything ready to fire back at you. You got to let them get it all out, let them vent, and then come back to them and be like, okay, I understand your concerns. Let's talk about this. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is that you just got to let them vent. Let them get it all out. Once they get through their speech, they're out of words to say. Like they said everything. They're not going to go through it twice. So,
not unless they're me. Man,
right.
I'm that guy. But no, that's absolutely genius. I love not calling it a problem, calling it a concern. That's beautiful. That's a huge tip. I think the other thing is what I realize is, and I've heard a lot lately, don't apologize more than once. If you make a mistake, just I'm sorry, drop it. Done. It just happened to me. So I was over getting an oil change for the truck, and the owner pulled it in to their shop, and the employee pulled it out, and he took my side view mirror out on the passenger side. Let me tell you, driving around a 7x14 trailer with no passenger side view mirror is a pain in the butt for 3 days. But I finally got my mirror fixed. So, but they came and they owned it right away. Like he owned it, but he wouldn't stop. He was apologized multiple times throughout the 5-minute conversation. I got text messages about updates on the mirror and stuff. He was still apologizing every time. I walked in this morning to drop off my truck. Apologized again. Dude, I get it. Stop. And I do this to clients. I'm really bad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. One time. I don't care how you feel. One time.
So, yeah. So when you go in, they want to show you what they got. Once they see one thing, they usually see everything. So be prepared for numerous things. Don't concentrate on the one thing until they go through everything. Like tell them, hey, let's walk around. You show me all of your concerns, and then we'll come back and address each one individually. But go ahead and get it all out of the way. Otherwise, they got that list in their mind, and they have a list for each item. Don't fight them on each item.
Yeah.
Get every item out at once. As you walk through, take pictures, take notes, whatever you got to do. But don't stop on each item and talk about each item. Go through all of them and then come back and that way they have more time to vent, cool down, and kind of relax. I forgot a big one though, Kyle.
Okay. What do you got? What do you got for me, buddy?
First thing you do when you walk in the house, tell them how beautiful their floor looks. You have to tell them right off the bat. Like, you can't forget that. I can't believe I forgot that. But you have to tell them that they're beautiful, that their floor looks beautiful, and try to think of something that they had influence on them. Tell them that they had a beautiful, they picked a nice choice of color, like their style that goes great with the house. It looks, whatever they pick goes wonderful with the fireplace.
Okay. Yeah. Don't lie to them, folks. Don't lie. Yeah. Pick something that you truly thinks it was a great decision. Don't lie.
Maybe a little bit.
No, never. If their floor is ugly, just don't even mention it. It's okay to not mention it, but you can probably. Okay. I mean, have you seen some of that old school 70s sheet vinyl?
Yeah. So
not that it wasn't installed well, guys. Don't get on me, okay? Yeah, you may have installed it great, but it was ugly.
While you're talking to them, the body language, non-verbal, I do remember a couple things. You're doing it right now. Arms crossed.
Yeah, you got to watch the YouTube, folks.
When you cross your arms across your chest in front of somebody, that is a sign that you're putting up you're standing firm and you're trying to block their path. You don't want to do that. You're trying to dominate your size and show them that you're bigger, and you're trying to just be a roadblock for them. So don't cross your arms across your chest, and you want to make sure you show your hands as much as you can. Don't put your hands in your pocket when you're talking. Show your hands. This goes back to early days handshake. When you shook somebody's hand, that was to show that you didn't have a weapon on you. It was to show that you were peaceful. So when you talk, you show your hands while you're talking. It shows that, you're not packing. You don't have any weapons.
And subconsciously pay attention to what's going on, because there's psychology behind it, right? If you notice that you're imitating a bunch of the client's behaviors, if they start leaning to the right, and then you start leaning to the right, and they put their hands in their hips, and then you put your hands on the hips, you're imitating them. What you actually want, like if you want to be in control of the situation, you want them to be imitating you. Like they should be copying your gestures. So that nonverbal communication that Josh is talking about, where 93% of it is nonverbal, that stuff matters. So when you cross your arms, if the client crosses their arms, like that's a good sign, but you really shouldn't be crossing your arms, because we should be having an open and honest communication and not like getting frustrated and wanting to stand firm on our ground with them. Right. But like, pay attention to what's going on in those moments. There is little psychology stuff. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is a great book. That thing's probably close to 100 years old by now. And then there's another book by I can't think of his first name, Robert Cialdini, something like that. He's a professor at ASU. It's called Influence, like the Psychology of Persuasion or something like that. It's probably like 20, 30 years old by now. And but that book's super dry because he's a psychologist over at ASU, and it's all like research stuff, but amazing techniques to be able to apply into situations on like how to sell and deal with people. And this stuff will go a very long way in you being able to, once again, like have value to your employer and how to communicate with people. And I'm not saying to manipulate them. That's not what I'm telling you to do. What I'm telling you to do is be able to understand the communication that's going on. That's what I want you to be able to do.
Yes. And then at the end, how do you close this? You tell after you listen to all their concerns, you tell them, now that we've heard your concerns, I need to step aside to discuss with my team ways to remedy your situation. You don't have to sit there and tell them what you're going to do about each one and how it's going to get fixed. They don't care how it's going to get fixed. They just want it done. And you don't really want to make a decision right there on the spot, because maybe there's something you're missing, and you might tell them you're going to do this. As soon as you walk out to the van, you're like, oh, I could do this and it'd be that much better. You're not going to go run back in the house and tell them, hey, I changed my mind. We're going to do it this way. Yeah. So don't make spontaneous decision. Avoid that impulse, and discuss it with your team. Like, okay, you got notes. You can go back and talk to somebody and say, hey, this is what I think I should do to fix this. What do you think? And come up with the best solution and attack it.
It's the same reason I don't like closing on the spot. Like I could write a bit up on the spot, but I'm going to miss something. Like I like to go home and like rethink through the project, look at all my notes, like take a minute, think about it, and work your way through it, man. Like when you make a decision on the spot, you generally screw it up. So
I've heard about that too. The only thing that you lose by not closing on the spot is their facial expression. You might tell them a number, and you can get some kind of read off of them that says, hey, I could have got more out of this, or, hey, the sticker shock was kind of a lot, but that's the only thing you're missing. But, I know you're a numbers guy, and your number is based on what you think, not what they think. So
correct. That I don't need that.
I don't think you're missing anything.
No, look, I know what I need to work for. Like at the end of the day, like you're either going to accept it or not. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I'm learning. I'm constantly learning. I've learned a lot, and I will continue to learn. I've had a lot of help. That's for sure. You got what else you got for me? You got more notes?
I've got a couple more, not many, but we're good. All right. Take advantage of education. If the company is going to offer you education, take it. Our company offers education to anybody that works there and the subs. None of the subs take advantage of it. And they probably could make more money if they did take advantage of it, because they would get
okay. So as an owner, knowing how 1099 and W-2 employees work, be very careful with that. You can offering your subs educational opportunities. It could be very quickly a very slippery slope. So I think that's cool that that's happening. That's a slippery slope. Let's not go there. But if someone's offering you education, I would 100% take them up on it, because they're saying, hey, here, go better yourself for me and you. If they're not offering it, find a way to sell it to them, right? Like if you want to go attend Surfaces, or you want to go attend NWFA Expo or CFI convention, or you want to go get a certification, what's the benefit to the employer sending you there? Yes, it's going to cost them some money, but what do they get in return? So there's good return on investment when it's properly used.
It's extremely valuable. One of the biggest things from the education that you're going to get is probably the opportunity to network with other passion-driven individuals.
Yep.
But you don't have to go to an education spot to network. You can try to learn to network around your own community. I network with every company I can find in Cincinnati. I call my reps more than I probably should.
Me too.
So in the distributors, whenever I go, we have a distribution warehouse where we can pick up all of our supplies. I know not everybody has that luxury. But when I go there, I usually get stuck there talking to other people that come in, or talking to the guys behind the desk. I take them donuts every now and then. I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that walks in the door and everybody goes, hey, Josh, or hey, 50 grit. I hear that sometimes too. So it's,
no, it matters.
It's nice to be known. Yes.
It matters. So I went to order baseboard from one of my suppliers yesterday, and all of it was locked down by somebody else's order. Guess who got baseboard? Because all they ever do is order base through that company. I order flooring. I order everything. sundries, I order baseboards. So I got the little bit of what I needed out of that order. So building relationships is huge. I can walk in and the people in the warehouse know me, the front office people know me, the managers know me. I'm building relationships everywhere I go. And it's not because I want special service. It's because I genuinely I want to know people and what they want, but what I can offer them as well. Let's figure this out, right? We're all in this together to succeed. So let's know each other so that we can help each other succeed.
You cross paths with these people multiple times a week. I mean, if you worked in an office with somebody and you walked by the same person down a hallway every single day, twice a day, it only makes sense that you're going to find out who that person is, and you're going to know something. Yeah, it's kind of awkward. It's more awkward to not know them, really. So stop being awkward.
Stop being awkward with your neighbors, folks. Let's change American culture and go back a couple of years here and stop hiding in our domiciles because we live in suburbia. Go outside, have a barbecue with your neighbors. I don't care if you hate them. You might not hate them if you get to know them, and it's okay to disagree. Let me throw that out there. It's okay to not have the same views.
That's it.
We're not going to go down that road, though. We're going to leave it right there.
All
right.
I think we covered everything I got.
Okay. I want to go off topic then. And I love this. I appreciate everything you've added. I think this was a great discussion. I hold this stuff because I don't like doing it as it comes up. So if Stephen Lee is still listening, which I think he is, he would like to know who does your TikTok videos. But I'm pretty sure the answer is you just set the phone or the GoPro up and walk away from it. No one's holding it for you.
That's my question. I love TikTok. I came up at younger ages with an art background. I like to paint, draw, sculpt, all that stuff. I did do Instagram for a little while, but Instagram's just taking a picture and photography is not a big one for me. TikTok, you can kind of edit a video to try to do something fun, and then you can add music to it, try to find songs or clips that go with it. So it's kind of a little bit of a creative outlet for me. So I do all my own videos, and I have a lot of fun doing them.
But you're just setting up the camera yourself, right? No one's holding it for you. No one's helping you film. You're just doing it.
It's pretty funny. I'm going to throw a shout out Nikki Hardwood. She's on TikTok. She actually had a video of what we use to hold the phone. It's the roll of blue tape.
Nice.
The phone fits right in the roll of blue tape. So that's your phone stand for most of the videos that are out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I got another TikTok tidbit, fun fact.
Okay.
50 Grit is the self-given name of the first boss that I worked for. He would always show up to the job at 50 Grit in the house, It was a time when 50 Cent first came out, the rapper. So it was he dubbed himself 50 Grit, and then I kind of took that over the years after he got out of Hardwood, and just to relive it, keep it alive. And I've actually had people on TikTok say that when 50 Cent showed up at the halftime show, they got up and yelled out 50 Grit. Because it's implanted in their brain.
Nice. Beautiful. So do we, you've been putting this out on TikTok while we did this. So we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we went to TikTok for your TikTok account. Did we get questions on TikTok? We got anything we got to answer? You've been getting some feedback. I know you've been looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, I see questions pop up. They're not questions, just random comments. I don't know. Nothing really.
Okay. All right.
They're just comments thrown out there.
Okay. Is there anything we need?
The screen on my camera is very, very small, so it's kind of hard to read the comments. Yeah,
because we're a landscape, and TikTok makes you do, the good old portrait view, and it does not translate well that for my CNN setup here on my newscasting thing. It probably does not translate well. Hopefully the audio is working out wonderfully, though, and the conversation has been entertaining to you TikTok folks.
I have seen a couple of comments that referred to something that I said at the time. So,
okay, well, we'll let you handle that over there, and they can put you on your cross.
They do. It's awesome. I love it.
All right. Anything else we need to hit on, buddy?
No, I don't think so, man. I got through everything I had. I mean, I could go on with more stuff, but
we'll revisit it. We'll do this again because I enjoy it.
Communication is key. Stay positive. Learn to deal with customers. Well, don't deal with them. Learn to customer care.
Look, and your customer, you got to remember, your customer is the customer at the house, but your customer is also your boss, the owner of the company, right? The guy or gal signing your paycheck. Like, you kind of have two. And so at the end of the day, by doing right by the customer in the house, you should be doing right by the person signing your check. So it's not that hard to figure out, but just make sure you're doing the right thing and you're adding value. When you bring value to the table, you will be well compensated and respected for it. I don't think there's any other way to really put it. If you're going to show up and be grumpy about making $20-25 an hour starting out and get salty at me because you don't want to rip out carpet or demo tile or something like that because it's hard, this just isn't going to work for you. This is not a good fit. Like, you need to change your perspective and you need to change your perspective, or you need to go find something else to do. So I think that's what I got. I love your insights. Don't get me wrong. I think communication that's always been the biggest issue, right? Like, you can look at all of history and look at communication issues and breakdowns, and that's what's led to tons and tons of problems. And so if you can bring communication to the table and you can have an open dialogue with someone, you will have far less issues and be way more successful at anything you do. So I think that is an amazing key.
I'll tell you a good one too is it's a triangle between you, the customer, and your boss. If you and your customer have a conversation that the boss needs to be included on, then you need to, I mean, I've done it before to where some questions come that I don't feel comfortable answering just myself. So I will text two people, a group text, or throw out an email. Sometimes boss likes to email more than text, so I'll have to do it in an email. But that way, all three of you in on the same conversation, and there's no middle person to where that communication gets kind of fuzzy. So
yeah,
that's kind of a big one too.
Yep, you definitely you got to know your boundaries, right? Like, I don't want the new guy day one showing up and sitting there going off on clients about, like, I'd do it this way or that way. Like, dude, that's not your place. Like, shut up. Like, go get the bucket and then bring it in and fill it with water and then rip out the carpet and the tack strip and take it outside. Like, you got to know your place. Don't overstep your boundaries. Don't promise things you can't deliver on. It's not your company to do that with. But I think that's just a communication thing. Once again, like, make sure that you have, as the owner, you need to make sure your employees know what their boundaries are, and you need to make sure that as an employee, like, you follow within those. Now, some people have more leeway than others. Like, I'm sure your boss would be very comfortable with you making some, like, big calls on a project of whether to offer, how to fix it or solve a problem, or maybe it's going to cost them a little bit of money to do it, and it's going to make them, but it'll make them happy at the end of the day. Like, you probably have a little bit more autonomy than some other people.
Most of the time, well, all of the time, I'm not saying most of, all of the time, is if it takes a little bit of extra time and money to do it right, you don't even have to call the boss. You just do it, and then that way it's done right. Because it's like we talked about earlier, it's going to cost more money to come back and fix it after it's done wrong. So you do what you have to do to get it done right, and then say, hey, I called you. I know you were in a meeting. You didn't answer, but this had to be done this way in order to be right. and then he can make some adjustments. But
Yeah.
You always do what's right first. This is not about how to be a good person. We all know how to be good people. This is about how to be a good employee.
Yeah.
Do what's
Well,
right.
and I think I was talking with my buddy Bill Parker, and that episode is lost. We got to re-record it because I was having some technology issues, and hopefully this one worked out. Everything looks right. It all tested right. So, hopefully we'll see here at the end. But the online people haven't complained that they can't hear you, so that's a really good sign. But he was pointing out that he goes with the philosophy of, if you have to come to, like, as an owner, he was the owner, he would tell his employees, like, if you have to come to me and question your cut or, how something looks, you're wasting your time. Just go fix it. If you're questioning the work, then it needs to be fixed. So it's a pretty easy way to do the job. Let me not hit my microphone there. Sorry, folks. If you got to question it, it probably needs to be fixed. So just go fix it. Don't even go and waste somebody's time. And I think those are solid words to live by.
Oh yeah.
Okay. We're gonna wrap this up. If you are listening live, I've got a couple more weeks before I start my 2 new mastermind classes. So I'm looking for one more person for Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Arizona time, and one more person Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Arizona time. The cost is $350 per month. You will get a accountability group. You will get a group to help you move your business forward in ways that you know you need to. You will actually have to start dedicating the time to work on your business instead of only in your business. I have seen it do leaps and bounds for the 5 people currently involved in the first group that has been going on for about 5.5 months now. Reach out to me, and you can send me a message on Facebook. Floor Academy Podcast at gmail.com is the email address. I'd be happy to discuss more about that opportunity. Go ahead and visit the website, flooracademypod.com. I've got some awesome tools in the file section. You can find out where to listen to it online, whether it's, what do we got? We got iTunes. Well, it's not iTunes anymore, but whatever. Well, we got Apple Podcasts. We got Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. If you look it up on a streaming service, I'm probably on there. Just search for Floor Academy. You can help support the show. Go visit patreon.com/Floor Academy, and you can set yourself up a little Patreon account. You'll give them some info. They'll take it right out of your account every month. You won't even realize it. $5 a month goes a really long way in helping me to continue to produce this content. Get some camera equipment, get some lights, make it pretty up in here, and pay the bills for the website and the hosting and whatnot. I appreciate anyone that is a Patreon. I've got a couple over there, I think like 13 now. So thank you to all of you for helping, make this continue to happen. And you can check out the store on the website too. Go get yourself some merch, get a t-shirt. There's one in the background, get a hoodie, maybe a beanie, although it's probably going to start warming up. Maybe you don't want one of those. There's tank tops, get a tank top. It's going to be summer, show those guns. We're going to put Josh back on a manual nailer, and he doesn't get a pneumatic nailer anymore, even though he doesn't have to install. He's going to have those guns. He's going to want he's going to want that tank top to show off those guns.
Got to get the summer guns out, Yeah.
Which way? Hey, Josh, which way is the beach?
The beach. We are heading south.
Oh, you didn't get it. No, you're just supposed to go that way.
Oh, my bad.
Only the video people will get it. All right. Anyways, thank you, everybody. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Kyle, anybody listening to this on the podcast, I'm 50 Grit on TikTok. If you're on TikTok, go to my page, like and follow. Thank you.
There you go. Get your plug in, buddy. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go follow 50 Grit on TikTok. He has fun videos over there. They're good stuff. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for joining in. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Tell a friend for me, please. Go tell a friend. Let them know that this podcast is out there and what it's done for you. And we will catch you next week.